All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to the MMA Advocates. This is episode 7. Thanks for joining us, of course, today from Dayton, Ohio. Fred Kirby from ABQ, New Mexico. Dave Rodriguez, and of course, Jesse Ruvalcaba from Cali should be joining at some point. I'm assuming he's got to park his Pokestop van somewhere, so we'll get him on as soon as possible. So, fellas, we just got through probably the best pay-per-view of the year. Mind you, we're only about halfway through, but probably fucking way better than 200. I mean, Fred, we were talking about this literally as soon as you popped up on the Hangouts. Fucking dope ass card, right? What do you think of it overall?
Yeah, definitely, man. It was my favorite card of the year so far, no doubt. Conor McGregor's kind of got that effect though. The co-main event was tight. The whole main card, all the fights were good. The Cerrone fight was amazing. All the finishes were tight. Like, it was a great card all in all. It definitely was a more entertaining card than 200 for sure. You know what I'm saying?
By far. I mean, and so far no one says it's positive for anything. So fucking cross your fingers. And if USADA goes after Nate for vaping, they're stupid as fuck. Although word is that he was smoking that after his post-fight test. So I don't know how that
6 hours after.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they tested him right after the fight. So I don't know if they tested him after seeing that vape pen or anything. But regardless, Dave, man, I mean, look, a lot of the co-main event, of course, affects a lot of your area, the Jackson Wing camp. John Jones more than likely sounds like he's gonna get off the hook, or he's gonna get slap on the wrist type of suspension. He's gonna be back. So let's just get right into 202 here. Anthony Rumble Johnson knocks the living shit in a tooth, supposedly looks like it, out of Glover Teixeira. And now, first of all, obviously, right after the fight, he was like, "Hey, Daniel, you're the man, but I'm coming to get that belt." But now there's talk of John Jones against Rumble Johnson. Dave, is that a fight that what do you think of that fight? Is it fair? Is it unfair? What do you think?
It's a bit of both. I've heard our man Eugene Robinson reference that fight already as, going to be the fight to make, and obviously DC is going to face somebody in the meantime. But I think for John, I mean, it's a great fight. I mean, it's just so weird that, UFC 200, everything, the fallout, John Jones is on steroids, he's this, he's that. But unfortunately now it's like a whole different twist to the story, and it's kind of going back to what Jesse said on our initial MMA Advocates episode, the debut episode. He talks about the Cialis or the dick pills that John supposedly was taking. So if it's that, I mean, it's just so weird because Dana's, coming out saying, hey, John's coming back. We got Anthony Johnson, John Jones as a possibility. So it builds interest. But in the meantime, I'd like to see DC matched up soon. I think he's got a big title bout to defend, and then we still don't know what's up with John Jones. I absolutely do not know. I hear whispers of kind of what's going on, how he may have obtained the dick pills, and then it's way more fucking interesting because don't forget his brother popped too. You know what I mean? His brother's suspended, and it was around the same time. You know what I mean? I've seen Arthur Jones here at Jackson Gym around the time when John was flagged positive or USADA had busted him. So it's fucking weird as shit because, yeah, a lot of people are forgetting that, his brother is also, suspended from the NFL. And we don't know what the hell he took. We don't know if it's actually PEDs or what it was. So total fucking craziness. But, hey, it is what it is, and we'll find out the truth soon,
Yeah, but I mean, Kirby, what's up?
What the fuck? Does DC got malaria?
What do you mean?
Why the fuck is John Jones fighting AJ? Listen, as much as I like that fight, what the fuck are we talking about? If John Jones can fight and he's eligible, he's fighting DC, right? What the fuck? I mean, I'm serious. Like, is DC hurt? Why would John Jones come back and fight AJ?
I don't know. I mean, Dana White wants to Dana White's talking about making like a clear number 1 contender. I think what he wants to do is make John Jones be the legit number 1 contender, and then have John Jones take the belt. I don't think he wants to risk DC versus Rumble, have Rumble knock DC out, and then not have that drama and that build-up. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, fuck that noise. Was USADA right or wrong? Did John cheat or fucking not?
Not. Apparently not on purpose.
You know what? Let me clear the air here. Let me tell you something. I got about as much faith in USADA as I do as fucking Nate Diaz passing that goddamn post-fight drug test, smoking that goddamn cannabinoid pen. USADA, every person they bust now, it's some other reason. Fucking tainted meat, cock pills, fucking juicy juice from the fucking fruit store. It's always something with USADA. Their credibility's through the basement now. If John didn't actually do nothing wrong, then what the fuck is he fighting the #1 contender for? He's still the GOAT. Lest we forget.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
And,
look, you have a point, but still, like, oh, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Yeah, no, just to add to that, I mean, as we welcome Jesse and everybody too, Jesse's just joining us too out of California. So what's happening, Jesse?
Focus up, man.
What's up? Yeah, I had to find a new parking spot. People starting to figure me out, man.
That's fucked up. Sorry, what were you saying, Dave?
Where I was getting at, okay, we all know what they're saying, John, as possibly if it was a generic Viagra, Cialis, whatever it was. The strangest thing about it is we all know what took place at UFC 200 a couple days before. John went out, he was crying. They had that press conference lined up where they completely just fucked up initially there. So what's really fucking going on? I mean, if he's crying and he's doing this press conference, he's dropped from 200. He was apparently, missed out on a $10 million payday. I mean, obviously the guy knows what he took. We still don't know. Like, his camp has never. They're saying it's supplements. They're saying it's all this different shit. But now it's like the rumors of the dick pill. So it's like the guy knows what he took. He fucking knows. So if he's crying about it the next day, I mean, I don't know what that shit was about still to this day. So going forward.
He took the Ariel Helwani way out. All you got to do is cry in front of camera. Ariel had to do it for 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever the fuck it was.
Listen,
but this guy, all you do is cry in the camera. People will forgive you. Apparently.
Fuck what John Jones knows. Fuck what John Jones did. It ain't about him. USADA is the goddamn judge and jury. They need to be like, he tested positive for this, and this is fucking banned. I don't want to hear no horse shit about it being some fucking cock pill. What the fuck? Are people going to keep using this goddamn excuse till the end of time? Why is it still valid?
Here's something from YouTube here. Jody says, well, what the fuck? John Bones Jones taking dick pills? Guy his age shouldn't need that shit. So what is he taking giving him limp meat?
Hey, man, he's fucking 3 white broads a night. Lay off.
He don't know any of them. He never met him before. He never saw him again. Shout out to Kasim as well over on the YouTube. Look, who knows what the fuck it is? And it could be USADA fucking up. Now, is USADA fucking up? You know what I mean? Is USADA not the top-notch organization that we were led to believe it is?
It's not just John Jones, though, right? Like,
right,
homies are tested positive for tainted meat.
Tim Means,
it's just all, exactly. It's all kinds of shit, man. I mean, they gotta tighten this shit up to where every time they bust somebody, we don't have to second guess them.
Right, exactly. But I mean, it's kind of weird now. We got Fred's take on this now. Jesse, what'd you think of 202 overall?
I thought it was a solid event. I didn't see any controversy at the end there, and I just thought it was a good all around event.
Okay.
What about you, Dave?
Yeah, it was a great card. I really enjoyed it from top to bottom. There's just a bunch of different things that took place that just made the card. I mean, you had teeth flying. You had Nate and Connor going to war. We had Anthony Johnson just showing up and pretty much stating his case that, hey, give me that title shot. Yeah. You got Mike Perry, unexpected character of the night, who I did pick to win by knockout or TKO. So Cody Garbrandt, sharp stud. He's picking shots at Dominic Cruz. It looks like we're going to have that fight take place soon. So all around the card just kind of delivered, and it just presented a lot of great matchups going forward. Absolutely.
All right, well, let's talk about that bantamweight fight, because Cody Garbrandt knocked the shit out of Mizugaki. That fight was it, right? So now he's taking aim at Cruz. Now TJ Dillashaw trying to pretend that he can talk shit and trying to pretend that he has a legit shot at a rematch against Cruz. It's not going to happen. I don't see it being possible. The closest he's going to get is a fight against Cody for a #1 contendership, in my opinion, right? But, I mean, Fred, the fight we want to see is Cody against Cruz.
Yeah, man. I mean, 35 ain't stacked like that. If it's not Cody versus Cruz, what do you do with Cruz? There's Dillashaw, and then you got Brian Caraway. But, like, who the fuck is clamoring to see Caraway fight for the belt? You know what I'm saying?
He'll get pieced.
And listen, here's the reality, man. Cody's doing his part. He's knocking fools out, and he's talking shit. Yep. Fucking good enough for me, Jack. 135 ain't got a fucking queue of contenders, and nobody else is getting first-round finishes and then calling homeboy out immediately afterwards. So, like, fuck, if it ain't Cody, who the fuck is it possibly going to be? Like, obviously, that's the fight to make at 35.
Definitely, and it's one of those things where I wish someone would get Faber away from Cody, because Cody's trash talks. He's better than Faber's by quite a bit. But the whole calling Cruz bitch made and all that shit, like, come on, dude, that's the champ. You know, call him bitchman if you want to, but you know it's bullshit. Like, come on with something better.
He's that kind of a guy, though, right? He's like a dopey, fucking tatted up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's his type of fucking shit talk. Listen, as long as he keeps knocking fools out, I'll go along with it.
No, absolutely. Now, Jesse, what do you think about that fight, man? Cody Garbrandt and Dominic Cruz.
I think I said it before. I think it's too early for him. I think he'll get pretty handily pieced up there, unless he lands one lucky punch, which I don't see him doing. So I just it's too early. Even though Fred says there's nobody there, I think he needs one more fight in there. And besides, they were wanting to put Cody Garbrandt versus Brian Caraway out of the fight to be the #1 contender. So just think on that.
What do you do with Cruz then? Who the fuck is Cruz gonna fight?
Nobody. He's hurt, probably.
No, the only guy left is TJ.
He's hurt, probably. Yeah. What are you fucking wishing? Goddamn Mexican voodoo hexes on him?
This fucking guy.
It just happens all the time. He's probably got a hangnail right now or something. No, you know what? Yeah, I agree with Eddie. I think TJ, you just give him the shot again. I mean, what else do you do with that? It was a close fight, was it not?
No, I don't think so.
Man, it was close enough, but it wasn't all that great of a fight either. And they're going to be in the smack. You know, listen, Cody's more exciting. Who gives a fuck if he's not ready? Fuck, I want to be entertained, not bored to tears.
You're going to be bored to tears because probably Dominic Cruz is going to walk around him, move around him. He's going to throw big, heavy punches, miss everything, and then he's just going to get taken down and beat up, and then you're going to be like, damn, 5 rounds of nothing. You're going to be bored.
Somebody's going to get finished when they fight each other, and that's what I pay for, the blood.
Fucking on the YouTube comments here, Jody says Caraway's boring as fuck. Mike Drive says fuck Caraway, doesn't fight, doesn't promote.
Ding 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 ding.
And then exactly, and then Jody says Chris Cyborg versus Cruz, which I think would be mean for Cyborg. He would just run around like laps around her, and then she would just tap to exhaustion. And then Kasim says Cruz versus Aldo. That's interesting.
That's cute, but there ain't a shot in the dark in that happening.
No, especially because Aldo's a giant fucking human being compared to Cruz, especially. But I mean, it is what it is. All right,
it's an interesting fight, though.
No, definitely. Moving on here to the other fight one of the other fights we want to talk about. Fucking Cowboy Cerrone. Have you seen a more like beautiful combo to finish a guy off? I mean, it was just picture perfect. Finished his ass off. Went home. I'm assuming he got a bonus. Did he get a bonus on that one?
He should have.
I don't think he did, but he probably got some type of he got taken care of. Dana took care of him, and then he made a mistake in his contract, I believe. It wasn't actually his last fight. I think he got one more left.
Oh, shit.
But I guess he's already
Budweiser's.
He's more than likely negotiated something, going forward. But, I mean, what are the chances of Cowboy, going to Bellator, speaking about another guy who's going in the ranks of Bellator? So I don't see Cowboy going that route, but pay the man. The guy's fucking consistent as can be. He'll fight every 2 weeks if he could. Pay the man.
Yeah, and again, we'll talk about Rory in a little bit.
He did get a bonus.
Cool. Now, Cerrone's asking for Eric Silva. What do you think?
No, I think it's a joke.
I think it'd be hilarious.
Why not?
Because Eric Silva gets his ass
fight. It'll be a fun fight, though. I mean, listen, everybody. I love Cowboy. His big dopey hat. Him drinking the Budweisers and shooting his mouth off. I like Cowboy. He's fun. He's a fun fighter to watch. But real shit, does anybody think that dude's actually going to make a run at the title at 70? Quite frankly, I think he's just doing this to get a title shot at 55. I'm pretty sure Cowboy doesn't think he's going to actually make a run at the belt at 70 either. So if they're not going to get... Huh?
He was asking for Alvarez now.
Of course he is. That's my point. He ain't asking for fucking T-Wood. You dig? And listen, he can go ahead and hang that shit up too. He ain't getting Eddie Alvarez either. There's a fucking queue there. Whether it's Conor, fucking Khabib, goddammit, Tony Ferguson, RDA, Cowboy ain't gonna fucking slip that line, not with a win at 170. So fuck it. Why not? Why not give him Eric Silva? It's a fun fight, man. Listen, Cowboy Cerrone has a very exciting fighting style, but you know what's even more valuable than that with Cowboy? He's got drawing power. Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about this here in just a minute, but we all just heard the news recently that Roy McDonald signed with Bellator. It's a huge signing for them. Rory's a top 10 guy on everybody's list, maybe top 5. He's a young kid, and people are making a fucking big deal about this signing. But I'll tell you what, man, I don't think it's going to end up being as big a deal as everybody's making it out to be, because Rory's not a needle mover, man. He's not a draw. He's a great fighter, but he's not a draw. Cowboy is a great fighter and a fucking draw. He puts asses in seats, man. It was a good acquisition for Bellator, but I do not think that Rory McDonald is going to bring a major fan base with him. My point is, they're not going to let Cowboy go. He's a fucking draw. He ain't going nowhere. Cowboy will not end up in Bellator. Mark my fucking words. They'll come out of pocket to keep Cowboy.
I think so. I think they will.
And if you guys think, I agree, like Fred is saying. I mean, if there's the 155 title shot, it's definitely going to go to Conor, or it's going to go to Khabib, which I think is 100% deserving of that fight. It needs that fucking be booked already. But I want to ask you guys now. I mean, going forward, I heard Tim Means talk about, he wants to fight Cowboy. He wants to accept that challenge and bring that shit to Albuquerque if you do. But I'll tell you what, guys. What's a great matchup for Cowboy going forward? I was kind of thinking a Matt Brown fight could make sense somewhat going forward. But I mean, he laid waste to Rick Story, so you got to give him somebody in the top 10, I think. But Matt Brown would be a damn good fighter. Tim Means, so be interesting to see what they do, because Cowboy, I don't think he gets the 55 shot, but man, is he consistent as shit, and he'll fight every 2 weeks, like I said.
Look, YouTube is suggesting Johnny Hendricks and Nick Diaz.
Is Johnny Hendricks still alive?
I didn't know that. I didn't even know he's still in the UFC. But what about, look, I don't agree with Cerrone versus Nick Diaz, but what do you think of that?
No way.
You know what?
No way.
They won't waste
too big
Nick
a star
Diaz.
at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
I'll go with Fred's critique of fights, of something exciting with blood and everything. Give him Lorenz Larkin. They both got wins on that card. They're both exciting. They come to hit hard. So I think that would be a pretty good, favorable fight for both of them, actually.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Larkin.
I love Matt Brown too. I mean, look, man, dude. Cowboy's got an exciting style, man. So there's a shitload of matches you can make for him at 170 that would be
But
fun,
isn't Matt Brown on kind of a 2-fight losing streak, I think?
Yeah,
he's lost. Make it fucking perfect.
Yeah,
no,
it does.
Because how is that? Because you're trying to elevate Cowboy, right? You don't want to give him somebody that's already on a downward spiral.
He ain't going towards no title shot. We just want him in exciting fights.
And that's an exciting fight right there, 100%. Fucking Matt Brown's going to bring it, or if they do the Battle of Albuquerque or the Battle of Edgewood, Donald Cerrone fight Tim Means out at the bad motherfucker ranch and schedule that shit if they want to do that.
Maybe they just fuck with that shit. All right.
I don't think they do that, though.
Hey, UFC's, they're long overdue with Albuquerque, so shit, I don't know. I don't think they have plans to come here to the end of 2016, so maybe 2017. UFC's hyper retarded. What are you gonna do? All right. Let's just go to the main event here. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor. McGregor gets the decision win, majority decision. One judge had a draw, which is what I thought it was gonna end up being. But rewatching the fight quite a few times, I think Conor did edge him out on points. So that's kind of how it worked out for him. That's how you beat a Diaz. You gotta outpoint him. You gotta turn tail and run and score points and whatever. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
First of all, real quick.
Wait.
No. My turn. No, I'm talking, motherfucker. All right. For everyone that had a stick up their ass, all the Conor fans that had a stick up their ass because I said run, do you prefer the word disengage? You touchy motherfuckers, okay? Take the stick with the fucking nails at the end of it out of your buttholes and smack yourselves in the face with it. That's stupid as fuck. I said run, disengage is the same shit. It was like, oh, he didn't run, he got away. Yeah.
No, he ran.
He literally turned around and fucking went jogging away from Nate. All right, I put it nicely by saying disengage, you fucks. But fuck you if you went off on Twitter on my ass for that shit. All right, kiss my ass. Conor ran and he won on points like he should have. That's how it worked out. All right. Plus, how many of us were saying that he was gonna win? He's gonna have to beat it by decision, right? A lot of people were saying that shit. That it was gonna be by decision. And Conor kept talking all that shit about, oh, I'm gonna walk him down. I'm gonna tee off. Yeah, for a round and a half, motherfucker. And then the rest of the fucking fight, you're gonna run around. Look, that's how it worked out. You know what I mean? But don't talk about I knock him down. You didn't. You knocked him down 3 times in the first 2 rounds. Full credit for that. After that, gassed out in the third, got pieced up, and then ran. All right. But these Conor fans, I never seen more saltier fans of a winning fighter ever than Conor fans getting pissed off because he said he ran. He won. Fucking get over it. Conor fans didn't lose their minds when people were saying that he ran from Nick because he did.
Yeah, they did.
He fucking ran all out. That's how you beat a Diaz. You're not beating a Diaz by standing in front of him. Because the second guy said, oh, he was running, they were like, oh, what you want to do? Stand in front of Nate and get knocked out? No. But that's what he said he was going to do, stand in front of Nate and fucking throw hands. He didn't do it. So now he's full of shit. All right? So now I'm trolling every Conor fan possible. If you come at it with that stupid bullshit about being touch as fuck about it, I'm going to troll the fuck out of you. So believe me, Sunday was an awesome day of just pissing off Conor fans just by saying run over and over again. Just because you guys are touchy motherfuckers. All right, so kiss my ass. All right, Jesse, what were you gonna say?
No, I think the strategy, he just took a page out of Condon's book. I mean, I think he saw that fight and was like, yep, that's the only way I'm gonna beat him. But I also think that he thought that he was gonna be able to knock him out in those first 2 rounds, because you saw him really cut him down, chop him down with the leg kick, slow him down, take away his power and everything, stop his movement a little bit, and then he tried to knock him out. Then he was like, uh-oh, I'm about to, waste all my energy. He stopped doing that, took the 3rd round completely off, where he didn't, I think he threw less than 10 strikes in that round. Mm-hmm. It was basically just an overwhelming assault by Nate that he had to survive. Then he came back in the 4th. In my opinion, I think that's the round he won. And then the 5th, he lost that 5th round, especially with that takedown at the end from Diaz and just the pressure that Diaz came with at the end. So, I mean, what else can you say, man? He tried to do something in the first, was running out of gas, switched up his game plan like he's supposed to do, and then did his thing. Exactly what you're supposed to do. But you know what? Like, I can't even be mad at the strategy, because I was in favor of the way Condon beat Nick Diaz as well. You can't stand around in front of him. You can't let him, goat you into a fist fight, because that's what the Diaz like. Just a straight-out fist fight, and they're going to beat you every time. So, you just got to be smart with it, and that's what he did. And all the Conor fans, they're retarded. They think that Conor's going to be able to go around and knock everybody out. That's just how he's going to do it. And we knew eventually we were going to have to see him, kind of smarten up and, put strategy behind a fight, instead of just coming out and hitting somebody and then them going straight down, So, I mean, I think what I liked mostly about this fight is that he stuck to a strategy, and we saw some pretty good takedown defense. He did some great clinch work. So I mean, big ups to him. I just don't think we deserve a 3rd fight. I think this is settled at this point.
Fred,
okay. Hold on. Jesus Christ, let me jump in here.
Like I said, go ahead, Fred. Yeah, I see you've been waiting. Go ahead.
First off, the Carlos Condit comparisons are goddamn ridiculous. Okay, Carlos Condit didn't drop Nick Diaz 0 fucking times.
No.
Carlos Condit stayed on his bike the whole fucking fight. The first round, Conor did exactly what he said he was going to do. Now, he did run out of gas, no doubt about it. And of course, he fucking goddamn it ran to get out of Dodge. Of course he did, you cocksuckers. You know what? I love you fuckers. I knew it. Oh, he was running. He was looking at the clock. Fuck yeah, he was. You know what's important? He got the W.
Exactly.
That's all that fucking matters.
Yeah.
That's all that fucking matters.
And I'm with you on that. That's exactly what I kept saying to people. I was like, hey, look, he did what he had to do. I give I give Conor full fucking credit for actually using a game plan of beating Nate Diaz. It worked out, right? But don't tell me he didn't fucking run.
Listen, hey, you go fuck yourself, Chulo.
Last
I'm going to tell
rounds,
you.
bitch.
He did not fucking run. He evaded strikes.
No. Shut the fuck up with that bullshit. No, he legit turned around, showed his ass, and ran away, and then turned around and started fighting. That's literally running.
Oh, man, they're in an octagon. Kiss my grits. Have you ever ran from the police?
Wait,
Eddie?
Hey, Nate's the furthest thing for the police ever. Like, they give me no one further from police than Nate.
When you run, you keep running. You don't turn around and wait for the police to catch you and then square up with them. He just had to breathe a minute. Nate Diaz is kind of like the Terminator.
I've seen some videos of guys that do that, all right? So don't say that nobody does that. I've seen some videos of homies running and then they square up.
They're fucking high.
No, look, dude, it's the same shit. See, you do it too. Look, I'm saying, look, when I say run, what that really means, what you said, evade strikes, right? Disengage, take a breath, engage again. It's the same shit. But he legitimately ran. Like, he was physically running and then turning around and trying some shit.
Listen, Nate Diaz. Listen, you cute cocksuckers. Nate Diaz can swim 100 miles. He can fucking hike up. Of course he ran. You don't just prance away from Nate Diaz. You got to take a little jaunt.
Okay, wait.
At least you're honest about it. Fuck.
But how come neither of the Diaz have figured out how to cut off the cage to stop this from happening to them?
And that's my other point. That's my other thing. That was what they want to say. Nate didn't even try to fucking cut the cage.
Listen,
Nope. He just walked them down.
Yeah.
Just followed them.
You can't be that tough and smart.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Well,
the way it goes, man.
that's kind of true.
You know what?
You
You know
what I
what
mean?
fight
Like,
you know what fight it reminded me of? Seeing Connor do that, like that little, the evading or him running. It reminded me of Gustav in DC when Gustav was putting in work, and then he's all of a sudden doing the same thing. If you go back and watch that fight, very similar. And fucking Gustav would have won the fight had he done a little less of that shit, and he probably would have fucking knocked DC out. But that's what I thought initially of watching that fight. I was like, hey, we got a little Gustav running going on here.
Do you think that the judges, like, sorry, Fred, do you think the judges kind of see that as like, okay, he's controlling the where the fight is dictated? Do you think that's why he was still able to win on points? Because I mean, in some part, like even the Carlos Condit fight, even the DC fight, like they were moving away in a speedy fashion and then resetting, and their opponent was still coming towards them. So that means they were dictating, where the fight was going. So, I mean, I guess you could call that like a good strategy on how to like win that on the scorecards. But I mean, man, come on. You can't say it's not running, because it looked hella like running. Him completely turning around and even having half a jog to like get to the other side of the octagon. Like, come on.
Listen.
Go ahead, Fred.
I don't agree with you pricks. I don't think it's fucking running. If that was the case, Machida's whole fucking career would have been nothing but the goddamn it Roadrunner. What the fuck? That was his whole fucking. I mean, stop it. But he was one of the greatest fighters of all time. Listen,
no.
I'll tell you what the issue was. You fucking pricks. It was not that he had to get the fuck away a few times in the fight. The problem is he did still gas.
Yeah, he's tired.
Noticeably. Okay, he supposedly put in all this work on his gas tank, and he still gassed like a motherfucker. Let me tell y'all something. Conor McGregor's problem is running out of gas.
Yep.
Now, I don't know whether he can fix that or it's just his fighting style that's not, he fucking has a lot of output in that first round. But if Conor McGregor can fix his gas tank and not gas and keep the same stank on his punches and the same output as he gives out in the first round, if he can somehow find a way to do that, he would be a fucking scary individual. Him running away from Nate Diaz or jaunting away, whatever, is small. Him gassing the way he did, that was the reason he was running at all. He is a superior striker, for sure, no doubt. He just didn't have the win to keep up with dude. You know what I'm saying? Simply.
But do you think the reason that he doesn't have the gas tank to go is because of the fact that he's not cutting down to 145 like when he's supposed to? Like, at that weight, he looked amazing. Why? Because he had to put in that extra cardio and, get all that extra weight off. Now he had extra weight on, and I still don't think he's adjusted to that extra weight.
Listen, definitely. I think it's probably hard to do both, right? Mm-hmm. It's probably hard to move up in weight and really increase your cardio. You're going to generally be adding muscle mass and shit when you're going up in weight, one way or the other. You're keeping weight in your body. Yep. So, like, the BJ Penn effect, man. I guess when BJ was forced to make 55, he was always in pretty good shape. Every time he got cute and went to 70, he looked like fucking shit. Yeah. If Connor's forced to make 45 or 55, he probably, generally speaking, will have more in the tank. Yeah.
No, definitely. Go ahead.
And going forward, I mean, guys, we know one thing's for sure. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I'd have to say Connor's next fight, we won't see Connor at 170 for a while. The next fight's going to be 55, 45. We won't see Connor at 170. And my next thing to add to that would be you're talking about Connor's style and him game planning specifically for Nate. Nate fought him and threw everything at him. You know what I mean? And he drowned Connor, and Connor fucking hung in there and survived the fight. You know what I mean? He won the fucking fight. Connor won the goddamn fight. But going forward at 170, if you fought a guy at 170 that's able to check those kicks, that can match him with power. You throw him up against Matt Brown. We're talking about a Matt Brown earlier. Throw him against somebody that has power. Like, what does Connor do at that point? You know what I mean? Because he's now getting the hang of game planning per opponent. What does he do in like a fight like that? That's why I kind of don't see him as fighting at 170 going forward, it's definitely a 55 or 45 shot going forward for him.
Yeah, look, he's not fighting at 170 at all. I think the 145 fight is a little stretchy. I think he could do it, but I think it's a stretch to say he for sure is going to fight 145. I think 155 is where he's going next. I mean, I think this win over Nate pretty much solidified he's fighting for the 55 belt. I mean, people were making the point that he's won, what, 3 belts or 4 belts in his career, and he's never defended any of them.
Okay, guys, quickly then. With each one of us, what do you think is going to happen with Conor, and what would you like to see happen with Conor?
Oh man, I'll go first real quick. I want to see Conor. I think Conor fights for 155 belt. I want to see him defend against Aldo, but I think he's gonna fight Eddie Alvarez instead.
Okay.
Jesse?
I kind of agree with that. The only thing I would change is I think what you do is you try. Okay, if I was running the show, I would force Conor to defend the title once. In the meantime, I would put Cowboy against Eddie Alvarez, and then the winner of those 2 fights basically just gets it on. Hopefully it's Conor and Cowboy, or just to make an exciting fight. But if it's Eddie Alvarez, that's kind of tough for Conor. But that's what I would do, just to kind of satisfy everybody, you know, because then you got a defense out of Conor at 145. Kind of solidified his grip on that 145 championship, and I think that'll give him a little bit more leeway to kind of, you know, do these money fights or whatever he wants to do after that.
Yeah, what about you, Dave?
Man, I think one thing's for sure. I know it was like a ridiculous topic of the fight actually happening, but it's definitely not happening now with Floyd Mayweather. I mean, is Conor going to go in there and gas out in round 3 or round 4 against Floyd? I mean, it'll be a huge fucking fight. They'll generate a lot of, you know, money for that. They'll be paid. But I think going forward, what they do with Conor is he's always wanted to be a 2-division champion. He's going to fight Eddie Alvarez. That's the next fight. He's going to fight him. Somehow Khabib's going to get fucked over again, and I don't know who they're going to match him up with. But 170, I guess there is a possibility where, who knows, he could fight fucking George St. Pierre at 170 next too as well. So I really don't know what they want to do with the Conor at this point. He's pretty much he made a great argument in the post-fight conference where he mentioned that how are they going to dare strip his 145 belt and give it back to Aldo, a guy who he laid waste to. But I love that he said that. That's fucking perfect. I'm glad he said that. But then again, the fight with Aldo, I do want to see that fight. Like, they do have some unsettled business. I mean, 13 seconds. I mean, what kind of – I mean, Conor fucking killed him, but the rematch will be great. I think it'll be a fantastic fight. But I think they're going to try to give him another belt. In the meantime, give Max Holloway, Jose Aldo for the interim, I guess so.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I mean,
I like
look
that.
at it this way. If Conor fights Alvarez, let's say he beats Alvarez, gets that belt. Guarantee he drops that 145 belt. I think, you know, there's no way he's gonna be like, oh, I don't need the other one. I got this one now. I think. You know what I mean? But let me catch up here on some YouTube comments. Go ahead. Right, that's what I think so too. Some comments here on YouTube. Minion talking about Octagon Control says Octagon Control only comes into it if the winner of the round can't be determined from effective striking and grappling. So that's something to think about. Then
true, but if you look, sorry, but true, but if you look at that fight, they both kind of equaled each other out in the striking department. The fact that he was able to control where that fight took place, you know, that's where I think the Octagon Control really does come into play.
Also, judges are, you know, shit. Kasim says Conor should sign to fight both Eddie and Aldo. I'm sure Aldo will pull out so he can fight Eddie in New York. And then Minnie makes a good point. McGregor could be next for Alvarez because rumors are Khabib will headline a card in Russia, and I can't see them making Alvarez have his first defense abroad. That's a very good point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they would.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah, they would.
Make Alvarez defend in Russia? What the fuck is that?
Okay. Think about this. How much do they respect that champion at this point? True. If it's not the person that they want, because think about what RDA had to go through. He had to defend his title on Fight Pass.
That's true. That's very true.
So I think he'd probably be the one. That title would be the one where they'd be like, hey, we're gonna give Khabib the shot to win this title, and we're gonna make him, you know, basically kind of get that hometown advantage. You know, just give him as much as they can to make sure that he wins that fight.
That's a good point. All right, anything else you guys want to talk about with 202? Actually, no. One more thing I want to talk about too. Actually, Fred wanted to talk about it. Now we were talking, you know, kind of tying into the Rory McDonald thing. Bellator, and Bro was making a point, Bellator is owned by Viacom, which is a cable company. UFC is now effectively owned by a movie company, basically. So they got movie guys against TV guys, right? Cable guys. And what would you want to talk about, or what would you want to bring up about on that point, Fred?
Well, you just brought it up, man. I think that's interesting. Bellator is now owned by Viacom, which is essentially just like a cable company. They own a shitload of, I think it's like they own cable, basically. So, like, all of television basically belongs to them. And now you got, like, the cat Ari from, like, Entourage, who's, like, the main, like, movie star manager agent dude, who him and some other cats in the movie business own the UFC. They're already talking about, like, making Conor a movie star and all this. And even just the intro for the pay-per-view. You had mentioned that 196 had the weird kind of Fox-style intro to the pay-per-view. I didn't remember that.
Right.
I thought like this was the first time they had that weird kind of intro. At the very least, it was only the second time they had that intro. So I thought that was a little weird too, man. I just think that this is going to be a very interesting story going forward on how all this plays out. Like I said, they signed Rory McDonald, which is not necessarily a needle mover like that. I can kind of see why the UFC would let him go. He's a great fighter, but he's not going to really generate a whole bunch of, I don't know, he's not going to bring that many fucking fans away from the UFC's product and to Bellator's. But moving forward, I wonder what this means with these companies. I wonder who's going to start throwing more money at it, or who's going to start changing the product more. Will these movie people fucking like try to change the UFC's product, and could it backfire on them? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really interesting. They got Dana White on, but what is Dana White now? Has Dana White become Scott Coker? Is he a guy that's just kind of there that really doesn't have no legit power no more, that they kind of just tell what to do? It's just an interesting concept, man. And it's the idea that one kind of owns movies and one owns TV. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like in a weird way, the entertainment world just bought MMA.
Right. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what though, the thing I think about like saying that Dana White, maybe he'll be like a Scott Coker or whatever. I don't think that's honestly true, because I don't think Dana White would be that type of guy. I don't think he could pay Dana enough to just kind of sit around and kind of be BS his way, through press conferences or do this and that. I just don't think, because that guy has passion for the sport. I don't think that you could do that with Dana White. Especially because of the fact that he also owns a percentage still of this new conglomerate of UFC, right? So I think he'd still want to put forth the best product possible. I disagree with you though, Fred, in the sense that Rory McDonald being a guy that's not going to bring over fans. I think you fail to realize that how big of a star that kid is in Canada. And Canada is still a big market, dude. That the UFC is not letting go.
Canada's on goddamn CPR. They barely fucking practice jiu-jitsu in Canada. Think about how they bent over backwards and still trying to bend over backwards for GSP to fight in Canada.
True.
Like,
Think of all the times they were doing everything possible to make people fight in Canada and fight GSP over there. Why? Because they knew that he was a draw over there. Rory McDonald, his last. What was the event that he did in Canada most recently? It wasn't a big seller as big as GSP's because they had hoped that, but also because the card was a flop. I mean, the whole underneath it was crap.
Listen, this is like telling one of your kids that you like them more than the other one. I hate to break it to you. The card was a flop because Rory's a flop. They wanted Rory to be... Listen, you know why they let Rory walk? Because they thought he was going to be the next Canadian GSP. Come to find out, he's not. He's creepy. He's not all that good looking, and he loses fights. So they sent his funny ass to Bellator.
No, the last one that he had, he didn't look at the regular the Rory of old. He looked like a weird new Rory that was scared, right? In his last fight.
That got his whole face busted up by Lawler. But think about this, Fred. The thing that we were talking about before too is that for Rory, I think this is a great move for him, and it's good for Bellator because this brings a credibility to their division. Now imagine MVP fighting Rory. Or, some of those other 170-pound guys that they have over there. That brings credibility to their division. Kind of like Benson being destroyed by, what was the guy, Minikoff or whatever the guy's name is over there?
Koreshkov.
What was that?
Koreshkov?
Koreshkov, yeah, there you go. Sorry. They all kind of sound the same there. Koff, whatever. Anyway, but, See, it brings a credibility. And think about it, though, too. I mean, you're paying Rory McDonald $59,000 to fight. His last 2 fights, that's what he earned. $59,000.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I think a lot of people make more than that in a year. And that's pretty sad for a guy that's so high profile, and his last event, he was the main event guy. Plus 10,000 from Reebok. That's pathetic. So I think we're going to see a lot of fighters that are going to jump ship because of stuff like that. Fighters that are well known that the UFC is disrespecting by saying, you're not worth it anymore, even though you're headlining a pay-per-view or a Fox card or whatever. I think it's going to hurt the UFC in the long run if they keep losing people like this.
I don't blame. Let me just quickly before you get in there, David.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't blame Rory. I don't blame Rory. I feel you. Like, it is a good move for Bellator. Of course, Bellator wants him. He's a fucking top 10 guy, and Rory's going to get paid, no doubt. My point was just that I think the UFC isn't going to lose much by losing him, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, I think we at this point we all agree that the UFC is kind of like a machine that's just kind of moving forward. They'll eventually find the new Rory McDonald, the new Canadian superstar, or whatever the hell,
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the name that people bring, like me, I'm a fan of Rory. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have seen a lot of his fights and are pretty excited when he fights. That's going to be in another place, and now we're going to have to go somewhere else to see that. So I don't know if it's a bad thing that we're going to have to go somewhere else, to Bellator, whatever, to see him. But I also think that it's kind of sad that people have to jump ship to get, to earn a better living and better respect, I think. I think that's also what he was looking for.
All right, Dave?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at right there. It's like kind of, Rory did reference it that he wasn't a happy guy and he wasn't well taken care of on the pay scale. We know that. I don't think Rory ever actually headlined a card, or an actual UFC card. But the Fight Night card, as you were saying, Jesse, as you guys are talking, was in Canada. He didn't, he wasn't taken care of. I mean, they thought he was going to be the second coming of GSP, but unfortunately, he had a hell of a war with Robbie Lawler where he almost took the gold. So
and they didn't give him a bonus for that.
No,
and they didn't give him a bonus for that. Everybody else gets bonuses, gets undisclosed stuff, and everybody's happy. He himself has said that he didn't get anything from that fight. That's just stupid.
Yeah, I think a lot of his the distaste for the UFC probably stemmed from that event. I'm thinking because when he did accept the Wonder Boy fight, I give him all the credit for accepting the Wonder Boy fight. He's the top dog in that division. He's going to be the champion soon enough. No knock to Tyron Woodley. That's a fucking killer fight that needs to be booked. But it's all about this the way the divisions are building up. There's just a lot of contenders. It's really stacked at 170. Like you guys are saying, or Fred was saying, they're not going to lose a whole lot in him because, hey, they weren't paying him all that much anyway. So basically, when he's going to Bellator, he's going to fight Koreshkov. He's going to possibly fight MVP, and we're going to see some of those guys really tested over there. So I'm happy for Rory. I mean, I'm one guy, like you guys know, I'm happy to see fighters get paid their worth, and fighters, I think, are always deserving. Like we're talking about Cowboys, seasoned veterans, guys that are coming in. We all know the Reebok pay scale, the bonuses. So there's guys going in there and just laying it on the line and not really getting compensated all that well. So going forward, I'm all for the fighters getting paid and happy for Rory. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him compete in Bellator.
But the other thing, I mean, think about this too. I mean, look at Benson. I mean, Benson. Did you guys see his what was it when he was on The Fighter and the Kid this week?
Nah.
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
He was talking about how basically he thinks that Bellator and UFC, he's like at the top. I mean, the top 2-3 people, in their divisions are probably the same or equal to the people in the UFC. Then he says there's a huge drop off after that, after the top 2 or 3. So I think that self-admittedly, I think Bellator knows that they need to build more stars, build more of this stable of great fighters, and I think this is the first steps that they're taking into building that. I mean, what does the UFC do when they get Andrei Arlovsky? They put him in there to basically build up somebody else's name. With Nogueira, with a bunch of these old pride guys, and I think that's what Bellator is starting to do now. I think Bellator is taking that page out of their playbook and just poaching these guys and saying, hey, if we can build them up to be the champion, or just build, our brand off of their name. Hey, whatever.
You know what Bellator needs?
No, there's one key point that everybody's missing. I haven't heard anybody talk about it. Do not forget, Rory McDonald holds a win over the current welterweight champ, Tyron Woodley. So.
Oh, well, yeah.
But listen though. Hold on though. You know what? That don't matter. Don't mean shit.
Okay, why?
Because what Bellator needs is star power.
Mm-hmm.
They need star. Listen, the UFC just let Rory McDonald go. On the next UFC pay-per-view, we will watch CM Punk make his debut in the UFC. Now listen, I know that rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but the reality is, in CM Punk's first fight, he will generate more income for the UFC than Roy McDonald will in his whatever fight for Bellator.
It's very true. No, he's got a point. He's got a good point on that.
No, it's true.
Money talks and bullshit walks, man.
Yep.
Conor McGregor is kind of making the blueprint for this thing. He's a great fighter, but his fucking mouth shot him to the top. Star power is what they need. I think the UFC is going to become, it's already a very star-driven ordeal, but I think it's going to become even more of that. Being a great fighter and being in really tough fights, people like us will always love that. The hardcore fans will follow Rory and watch him fight, but the fucking dude bros that watch this shit at fucking your local hot wing joint, they don't give a fuck. They might catch Rory McDonald's fight if it's convenient, but they won't seek it out. They'll seek out Conor or Ronda or John Jones or whatever the fuck, but it's stars, man. Hell, they'll seek out the CM Punk fight. Guarantee that fight does banana numbers. You know what I'm saying? It's not right, and I get it, but at the end of the day, it's a very star-driven sport. I get what you're saying. Bellator's got to sign these guys. They got to start somewhere, no doubt. But this doesn't really mean shit for me, I guess is my point. Benson Henderson, people made a big deal about that. He's an ex-UFC champion. Guess what? He was a fucking shitbird of a champion. Not in his fighting style, all due respect. He drew like shit. He was never a big draw. So when it came time to let him go, they cut ties with him, man. You know what I'm saying? You have got to find a way to make yourself a draw in this sport now. Having great fights isn't going to just do it anymore.
Do you kind of I don't know about you guys, but I kind of miss Phil Davis being in the UFC because now it kind of feels like the top of the 205 division is kind of lacking what Phil Davis brought. He brought this grinding wrestling style that was really hard, kind of like a GSP type of style that was really hard to deal with. And I think that we're really thin at 205 now, and that's my fear, I guess, from the UFC, just kind of, throwing these fighters away, like yesterday's newspaper or whatever, that they're not drawing anymore, so we'll just let them go, and then now you have a bunch of nobodies fighting for a title, then what are we gonna do? It's just gonna be kind of like a CM Punk, title run. What the hell are we doing at that point?
You know what? Listen, all due respect, Mr. Wonderful, I'm glad you're gone. I don't require seeing you fight no more, or not paying for it, at least.
I never liked that dude either. I couldn't stand Phil Davis, man. He tried to track shit, and it would fail awfully, and then he would get his ass beat, or he would bore the fuck out of you. It was one or the other. Because, he was one of those guys that would take guys down, but he would sit on them and, pretend to strike on them, top of them. So, I get what you're saying and everything, but I don't know, man. I was never a Phil Davis fan, so I can't really say too much on why we would miss him.
Listen, quickly before I wrap this up, my last thought on this: if Bellator is going to actually make a dent in this war or this battle with them, they've got to get a star. They need a Ronda Rousey, a John Jones, a Conor McGregor. I know that's,
They have him already. MVP. That guy's amazing.
They don't promote him for shit, dude. Let's be honest.
They don't. That's the problem.
Listen. I love MVP as much as the next guy, but cool your fucking jets, okay?
Roy's gonna beat him.
He needs to fight somebody. There's a good chance that Roy McDonald beats the shit out of MVP if they line up that fight. So I like MVP, but it's not the same thing as Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's on Oprah and shit, dog. That's big boy star status. Bellator's got to score them one of those, man. That changes the game. But I don't know how you do that, right? The UFC's never going to let one of those guys get close to going anywhere. So it is what it is. They're not fools.
True, but I mean, they could also follow the same formula of bringing these guys that are just really, really good at what they do. They already the game plan is halfway there. Like, they're giving MVP, like, I don't want to disrespect any of these guys, but tomato cans that he smashes really easily. Mm-hmm. And all they have to do is just push him out there. I mean, we talk about how Viacom owns all these companies and blah, blah, blah. How come Viacom doesn't put in a couple extra bucks into the budget to go, hey, make sure this guy gets on this show, that show. He's here, he's there. We don't hear anything about MVP until he has to fight. And I think that's where Bellator lacks in. They lack in this attempt to like really promote their fighters. They just kind of go, okay, I guess, we're fighting this week.
I don't think they know how.
Yeah.
I really don't think they know how to promote. I'm at the point where we've been saying this for how long, motherfuckers? Like, for years we've been saying Bellator doesn't promote their guys. They don't promote their guys. I legitimately think they don't know how. I mean, when they got Scott Coker as president, everyone was like, oh, he's going to change the whole game. Bellator's going to be, finally going to even up to the UFC. No, they're not. They can't promote for shit. I don't think they know how to promote. Or they don't give a shit. It's one or the other. You know what I'm saying? Because you could promote MVP. You could promote Michael Chandler if you wanted to. Okay, just get him out there talking to people. You could promote fucking Patricio Pitbull who can't speak English. You could promote that motherfucker. But they can't because they don't know how. I really think they have no clue what they're doing.
I mean, they lost one of their biggest stars in Kimbo, and it was just a blip on the radar, right? Like, people talked about it, everybody wanted to know about it, but then Bellator didn't do anything. They were just kind of like, we're sad that he died.
Yeah,
and
you want to know why people found out he died? UFC guys were talking about it.
Yep.
UFC guys were talking about his death. That's how people found out. That's how people found out. They talked about it on the fucking broadcast. The UFC did a fucking in memoriam for Kimbo Slice. That's how people found out. Nobody had a fucking clue because of Bellator. Bellator does not give a fuck, and they don't know how. They literally have the wrong people at top. And in my opinion, Scott Coker's the wrong guy. He just is. Dude, first of all, like Dana White, you ever seen him lose his shit? Right? Like, there's passion in his eyes, and he's freaking out, cussing everybody out. When's the last time you saw Scott Coker didn't look like he's not on, like, a pound of weed already? Like, look like he's awake at least. Exactly. That dude's never looked awake in his life. Okay? That's why. The people give him credit for Strikeforce. I think that whole organization was great. From top to bottom, he was just the headstone of it, right? But you can't just bring a Scott Coker in and be like, oh, we're going to be number 2, or at least we're going to even up with the UFC, we're going to be at least number 2, because it's not working, because Scott Coker is not that guy.
Okay, but let me tell you what, though. He had the right people in place. I mean, look at World Series of Fighting. Look at Combates that we've recently started talking about. They're out there. Why? Because of the guys that they have in place. I mean, the guy that's in charge of Combates and World Series of Fighting, and I think Risen as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, that guy, Mike Firmowitz, I believe, that guy knows his stuff, man. He knows how to do what Scott Coker probably just doesn't, or just doesn't have the right person. But Mike, he knows exactly how to do everything. I mean, he knows how to get the right people in place and how to bring in the right people to just kind of branch out and get like the word out about his organization. And now that's 3 organizations that are now starting to really build up steam. And where's Bellator? Bellator's just kind of stuck on Spike, kind of just twiddling their thumbs, waiting for, Friday to come around and go, hey, we're Bellator. Come watch us on Spike. Or fall asleep during Cops and then wake up and watch Bellator. Like,
yeah, but and the fact that they're not live when they're more usually in the West Coast, but they're not live on the West Coast, Bellator can go fuck themselves with that bullshit, okay? That's the reason I don't watch Bellator, because they're never live for us, ever. And they're in the West Coast, goddammit.
WSOF is not gaining steam, though. Let's be fucking silly here.
Let's be real.
WSOF is fucking hemorrhaging money.
That's true, they are, but they're still pedaling around. I mean, you got to admit, most companies would have folded by now, and they're still at least trying to be in there. They're signing guys and everything. So come on.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I don't think that's.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think that's a smart idea. Listen, nobody's making money in MMA except for the UFC, man. Those cats just spent $4 billion on that shit. That ain't no coincidence. They're smart. They know they've kind of low-key got a stranglehold on the industry. Listen, you guys are giving Bellator a lot of shit about promoting. You can't promote a turd. You can't make it a diamond. If you got a turd, you can do some fancy stuff with it, but at the end of the day, it's a motherfucking turd, Jack.
Right, but they have something better than turds there. They don't have not
Listen,
everyone.
Not much better. Not much better. In the
by a
grand
little
scheme of
bit
things.
at least. You
I mean,
promote
listen.
a bull. MVP's promotable, yes or no?
Yep.
To
Very
what
much so.
ilk? To what ilk? Yeah, he's promotable. He's beat nobody.
Right,
I
but
mean,
Because
it
they
doesn't
have
matter.
nobody.
It is the
Because they have
That's
nobody
my
for him to
fucking
beat.
point.
That's what he's saying.
That's my
No,
goddamn
but-
point. So what do you promote? Like I get what you're saying, but you can't promote him as the baddest. Nothing. He hasn't beat
that's
nobody.
true.
It's hard to really promote the guy too fucking hardcore without some dopey hardcore fan going.
Okay, wait.
Right, that's what we're talking about. That's the word right there, hardcore. You're not promoting MVP to the hardcore fans. But you know how many idiots or casual fans that watch this shit? A lot. And they will buy MVP hook, line, and sinker. They bought the Phoenix fucker. What's his name? That dude that fucking wore a fucking half-ass Batman suit and beat the shit out of homeless criminals and shit in the street. They promoted that guy, and casuals bought that shit hook, line, and sinker. You can't.
The first time Dana White calls MVP a broke ass Eve Edwards, it's over.
That's true. That's true.
Dana White holds more authority on that shit than anything. They'll sway that shit right out of the water. Listen.
But wait. Look at how good the UFC is good as promoting, okay? They had Renan Barão, who was like 30-0, like just crushed everybody. And then you look at those guys' records, there are nobodies. There were guys that had maybe like 1 win and 17 losses in a row. And they were like, oh, he's the greatest fighter ever. Why can't Bellator just take that same page? He's fighting nobodies. At least there are nobodies on TV. I mean, it's just the promotion. The promotion is what's failing the fighters over there. It's not anything else.
You know, I was thinking about this today though. Everybody makes a massive deal about the UFC and their promotion and their hype team and what they're able to do for fighters. Don't get me wrong, I know they can. But at the end of the day, a lot of the people who end up super famous kind of do their own thing. Yep. Conor McGregor was not really created by the UFC.
No.
We all knew who he was by the time he had his first fight there. Yeah, but we knew. Ronda Rousey, if she wasn't armbar and hose, the UFC couldn't have fabricated her. True. She created her own thing. I mean, you know.
Chael Sonnen wasn't like that in Strikeforce. Then got into the UFC, got frustrated, and said, hey, if I talk a lot of crap, I'm going to make my way to the top. Like, it's just...
The UFC ran with that, but that was still Chael that fucking was like, you know what? I'm not going to be boring no more. I'm going to promote myself and make myself a fucking draw. Point blank.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys what, though. I mean, we're talking, you know, the $4.2 billion sale, the transition of power, the William Morris effect, as you can say. I'll tell you what, there's a time frame where the UFC is just going to take it to another level, and I think Eddie's talked about it before. We've talked about it on the show. It's when the contract is up with Fox and ESPN starts taking UFC fights. That's where they separate themselves to the top level shit right there. So that's coming soon. Fighters are going to be paid more. So I don't know what the time frame is on when that contract bid or what's happening with that. That's something to look into. But that's when the UFC
think they signed
really
an extension.
Okay.
Oh, get the fuck out.
I think it's like 2018 or 2019 that it comes up.
But we have to put it with Fox Sports for another. God damn it! All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No, if they continue the trend as they are, I mean, shit, UFC's taken a pretty big leap onto the big stage now. So in that 2-year time frame, I expect it to get even bigger. Probably some bigger stars. I mean, it's real interesting now because the UFC basically has, for the hardcores, for everybody that watches, there's basically a couple guys in each and every division to look out for. Some new contenders, some new rising blood. That's exciting. You know what I mean? Because anybody, you know, nowadays that's a hardcore, that's a weekend watcher. There's somebody that they're looking to watch their career go forward. I mean, you got guys in the loss, in a debut. You got guys like Mike Perry showcasing on a main event what he's about. So there's like I looked through the divisions today. There's at least 2 or 3 guys in each division that are flying under the radar. But then again, they're known to hardcores, and you know I love to see those guys get their shots. I'm one guy for loving to see these guys on streaks like Max Holloway get their shot because hey, I want to see the best fight the best. Fred's always saying it. We want a champion that's fucking a deserving champion. So I'm all about that shit all the way.
And I think this is why that whole tournament tough the tough show that they're doing for Mighty Mouse. I think that's why those things are perfect for having a division like just grabbing the top I'd say 15 guys and throwing in a couple wild cards in there and just letting them like kind of build themselves up. I mean, eventually some of these guys are going to realize that if they talk and they're exciting, the UFC is going to put behind them, you know, that extra push to get them out there. But they got to start doing it themselves, you know, kind of like Conor, you know, exactly what Fred was just saying. I mean, they gotta, you know, take that first step, you know, off the balcony and just kind of go for it. But a lot of these guys are all about, you know, oh, I respect you know, my opponent. Oh, I don't want to pick my next fight because I just do whatever the UFC does. Dude, I'm sure Dana White and, you know, the matchmakers and stuff are probably screaming at their screen or whatever, ripping out their hair, wanting to know what they want to do next, or, you know, trying to get them to do something to kind of get people excited about these guys. Like Dave was saying, Mike Perry, he definitely is a guy that people are going to hate. People are going to hate that guy, but he's going to make a stink, a real big stink, and he's going to hit the scene really hard. Why? Because he's got an exciting style, and he's kind of a dick. The way he kind of presents it, like you can already hear, like I could already hear the people just comparing him to, you know, the total bro guys, you know, just like steroided out, just kind of flexing, grabbing every chick's ass as they walk by. You know, they're just gonna hate this guy, and guess what? They're gonna make him popular, and you know that's tough crap to whoever, you know, doesn't want to fall in line with that type of just promotion, self promotion. You know, I don't know, man. I think people have to learn that they have to do it themselves before the UFC is going to put the effort behind them as well.
Yeah, we're seeing it in multiple divisions. You guys know Ishihara. He's been laying waste to people in that division.
I love my bitches.
You got
that's my dude.
You got Choi. I mean, you got Garbrandt. I mean, they're there. You look for them, they're there in each division. You got Francis Ngannou, who I don't know who the fuck he's going to fight again, but they need to book that guy a fight ASAP.
Yeah.
There's guys in the 205 division. There's Krylov. There's Misha Serkinov. I mean, there's just new blood in every division. You look for it, it's there. Like you guys are saying about self-promotion. Ishihara, Mike Perry. I mean, who knew who the fuck Mike Perry was before last Saturday?
Fuck, I still want to buy an Ishihara t-shirt. Really bad.
I'll tell you who knew. Fucking Joe Silva. You know, people are always fucking second-guessing the UFC about this and that and the fucking stars. Believe me, man, these guys know what they're doing. There's guys always out there scouting. Somebody knew who the fuck Mike Perry was. They knew he was exciting, and they knew he could fight. So, like, there's cats right now being scouted that are exciting and fucking, you know, that shit's always on the way, bro.
All right, well, we're at the hour mark here, so real quick, anybody have anything else you want to bring up before we end this shit?
Quickly, Vancouver, the event this weekend. What is it?
Right.
It's Carlos
Condit.
Damian Maia. Let's do this shit quick because I got to go. Who's going to win the main event, boys?
Damian Maia. Sub.
Ooh,
Jesse?
I like that.
I think Condit.
Yeah,
all right.
I got Carlos, of course. You guys know why, but I think it's just not going to be as easy for Damian to get him down and do his thing. I think Carlos has been putting in a hell of a lot of work with Roberto Alcantara. He's ready for this fight. So
you know what, though? I'll tell you this, Dave. If it hits the ground and Maia gets his back, I'm gonna scream my head off and turn off the TV because it's probably gonna be over right after that. Like I respect Condit a lot. I've always said that he's a different type of fighter coming into the UFC and he's special. But man, Maia, once he gets you on the ground, it's I don't know, man. It's curtains sometimes.
It all boils down to that takedown. If Maia can get him down and control him on the ground, he might not submit him because Carlos Condit's no fucking novice on the ground, but he'll control him and get the win for sure. I don't think anybody can, you know, outside of Jake Shields' boring ass, out grapple Damian Maia.
Didn't he still lose that fight?
Yeah, no, Jake Shields won, right?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Outside of Jake Shields, nobody out wrestles Damian Maia. So you know what I'm saying.
It'll be the only time Carlos will be finished by sub. I mean, he got sub back in the day, like in Pancrase days. But I mean, if Maia finishes Condit, what title shot? I mean,
for sure.
What do we do with the guy?
Oh yeah,
for sure. Shit, if he beats Condit, title shot. Period.
Yeah.
Okay. He deserves a title shot if he beats Condit.
Well, right.
Will he get one?
All right.
Story.
All right, we talked about Maia. What if Condit lands a flying knee and lays him out in the first round? What do you do with Condit?
I'll lose my shit.
He ain't getting no title shot.
Oh.
No, give him another fight.
You get him a title shot. Why? Because Tyron Woodley didn't beat him. He busted his fucking knee during the fight. You get Condit a title shot. Fuck yeah, you do.
Yeah, life ain't fair.
Sorry,
Stockton
Wonder
ain't
Boy.
getting no
Sorry,
title shot.
Wonder Boy. Sorry, Wonder Boy.
Yeah, that's not happening. Listen.
Yeah.
Another fight. I got to go in like 2 minutes, but quickly, let's before I get off here. Anthony Pettis is making his featherweight debut against Charles Oliveira, or however the fuck you pronounce that prick's last name.
Oliveira? Yeah.
Oliveira, there it is. My fucking Mexican compadres. Listen, first off, do you think that he'll be successful? And second off, if he loses this fight, do you think we see him in Bellator next month?
Fuck yeah. Oliveira's going to knock his ass out.
I think he loses and he gets cut.
Speeding heel kick to the head, bro. And Pettis is going to be like, fuck, I shouldn't have cut so much weight. Knockout off the Bellator.
Are you guys joking or just being
No,
nuts?
I'm serious. I think something is lost on him. I don't know. Like the spark is gone or the past. I don't know. Something's missing.
David, tell me you're not buying into this shit. Are you picking fucking Charles too?
Well, it's he's known for missing weight, so both guys are basically their debut at 145, right?
Yeah,
I know Pettis has been training a lot of ground game. He's ready for this fight to go to the ground. I think Oliveira, that's his best shot to win is on the ground. But I just see Anthony Pettis edging him out. I think Pettis is going to get a win. I don't want to ship him to Bellator that early. I think he's got some good fights still ahead of him. But at 145, it's stacked with killers. So if he's unable to stop the ground attack like he hasn't been able to do in the past, Oliveira is going to beat him there. But he's got to take him down though. And he's got to hurt him. Yeah. I'm favoring Pettis, not by much though, but he looked a little fucking drained today. I looked at an interview earlier. He looked super drained and a little unhealthy, I guess you could say as well too.
Wake up, motherfucker! It matters. That's Connor.
It's not good, man.
Fair weather cocksuckers.
Fair weather? What the fuck are you talking about?
Anthony Showtime Pettis is going to fucking style on that kid, and he's going to make his presence felt. You fucking dopey pricks. Charles fucking Oliveira is going to get a beating thrown on him, and we're going to have some new blood at 45, thank God, because Connor's probably giving that belt up and going to lightweight.
Yeah, probably. All right.
I got to go, fellas.
You got to go? All right, man, have a good one. Thanks for coming.
I will catch y'all next week for sure. Later, fellas.
Yeah, so Jody's taking Condit, Minion's taking Maya, and then Jody's taking Oliveira. Mike says Pettis is broken, and then Jody says Pettis needs penis pills too.
You know what? I'll throw this out there. I don't think he'll go to Bellator. Just send him somewhere else. Maybe Combates, maybe World Series of Fighting. Let's mix it up a little bit, guys.
Send him home to coach.
You know what?
Need it.
During the interview earlier that I was watching, I guess he took a page out of the Donald Cerrone playbook because he said he didn't really watch a whole lot of film on Oliveira's previous fights.
That's stupid.
He took the Donald Cerrone approach, so just keep that in mind. So, I mean, if we're going to do a pre-show at the end of the week, I mean, I'm going Pettis, don't get me wrong. Not by much, though, but I'm rooting for him just to get a fucking win and get back somewhat on track. 4 losses in a row is ridiculous. So, especially Showtime Pettis. I mean, Anthony fucking Showtime Pettis, 4 losses.
Here's the thing. You keep saying Showtime. He's no longer Showtime. You see his last 2 fights, not a goddamn bit of Showtime anywhere. His confidence is gone. RDA took it, fucking balled it up and threw it out the goddamn arena. That shit was over. His confidence is gone. RDA took that shit from him, right? His last 2 fights, what's the number one thing? Looks nervous as fuck.
Yep, and they basically gave him a fight where he knew that he wasn't going to get taken down, so he could just stretch out a little bit.
It was a gimme
and
fight.
use his taekwondo and everything.
It was a gimme fight.
No kicks, nothing.
It was a gimme fight. Couldn't do it.
That's why he said he took a page out of. Well, I'm saying they took a page out of Cerrone's playbook because he said in previous training and in fights he's second guessing himself with all the shit that everybody's saying. Oh, do this or do that. Watching film. So that's kind of his take on this fight, how he's approaching this battle.
I think that's just a way for him to kind of justify those losses. I didn't see that. Yeah. I didn't see him as too much thinking. I just saw him as just being completely hesitant to get knocked out, hesitant to get hurt. You know, we talk about this all the time. Look at Rory. Look at what's his name? The guy that got choked out and had crap foaming out of his mouth. Koschev. Once something gets broken in your face, once something gets compromised, you just don't have the confidence to get in there and exchange like that anymore. You just need a long time off to let all that kind of just heal up And then you really need to get in these gym wars basically to kind of get that confidence back that you can take those shots.
I'll tell you what. Watch Glover Teixeira's next fight. Won't be the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely
not.
not.
The same guy. Okay.
And then Pettis has never been finished too. So I mean, if he's really like, if he's honestly really fucking afraid to get into it with Oliveira, I think he holds his own on the feet. But Oliveira's best chance to win the fight's on the ground because I think Pettis takes him out on the feet.
I'll tell you what. If Anthony Pettis gets finished, he might as well retire. Because you're right, he's never gonna finish. You might as well retire because you're just asking to get hurt at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if his mind's not in it, it's not a good place to be in there, especially not with a guy that's dangerous like that.
Definitely. All right, fellas, is that what we got tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just watch Bellator this weekend. It should be a good fight, man. That Benson Henderson Pitbull fight, that should be an exciting fight.
No one's talking about it, and no one's talking about it. I'm definitely gonna watch that fight. Probably have to find a stream for it. Fucking Bellator. We can't do goddamn live shows in the fucking West Side. Fuck you. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a pretty good card though. Yeah, you got Benson on the main. You got my man Sadawat.
That's a legit fight too. Legit fight.
Don't sleep on the Bubba Jenkins Georgie fight because I'm pretty high on Bubba Jenkins. He's a man. I think he's a pretty big star in Bellator too as well.
Yeah.
I think they need to start promoting the shit out of him because he's a legit fighter.
And he was an outstanding wrestler. That's why they picked him up.
Yeah.
I mean that
100%.
that guy has slams and takedowns that are just amazing. So yeah, I mean. To everybody out there, you gotta diversify yourselves. Go watch that event. I think it'll be good for everybody to kind of see what some good matchmaking can do for Bellator. I think.
Diversify your bonds, bitches. Yeah. Anyway, all right, fellas. You can follow Fred Kirby at Kirby_MMA. Jesse's at SPWAT181983. Of course, Dave is at Dave's MMA Brief. And I'm at ELAW31. The MMA Advocates are at the MMA Advocates. You can see that on Twitter. It's there. At CrossBonesMMA as well. Shout outs to Jody, Kasim, Mike Jarvis, of course. Shout out to Andrew Reed, who always watches these, or for the most part tells us he watches these. I'm sure he watches most of them. Anyway. And, of course, shout out to Minion. Yeah. By the way, Minion actually made a video explaining the new rules. It was actually pretty damn good. Not going to lie. I learned a lot of shit that I did not understand before. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go find Minion. Shit, I'm gonna have to find your Twitter online, dude, or when I get back on Twitter and send it out. But definitely watch this video. Yeah, I'll shoot the video. Yeah, and it's fucking on point. Anyway, all right, fellas. Before I go, I'm gonna go ahead and earn all the Conor hate that I'm gonna get after this. So Conor won the fight, didn't beat Nate Diaz, bitch. Fuck you. All right. Represent, bitch. Anyway, catch us next week. Or this weekend for a pre-fight show. I'll see you motherfuckers on Twitter. All right, come at me, motherfuckers. All right, see you guys later. Catch you guys next week.
Later, pal.
Peace.